Hi guys, welcome back to my playthrough. Front mission first remake.
It's a very fair point, Professor. Thank you for your time as always. We appreciate it. Let's bring in Katie Pavlich, townhall.com editor and Fox News contributor. Sean Duffy, former Wisconsin Republican congressman and co-host of The Bottom Line on Fox Business, and Robert Wolf, former economic advisor to President Obama and founder and CEO of 32 Advisors and Fox News contributor. He was with President Biden, by the way, last night. I think that's a good place to start, Robert, with you, because there has been a lot of talk about this. It's not just the documents and this report coming out that says, Biden's memory is shot. He can't really remember a lot of things, including when he left the White House as vice president. Your time with him last night, how did he seem? He was great last night. He spoke about 45 minutes about democracy being on the line. He spoke a lot about Ukraine and Taiwan and Israel and the need to pass the foreign policy dollars and cents that just got past 67 to I think 32. He spoke about why this election is critically important, and I should just mention one thing on the document case. I'm proud that President Biden didn't use executive privilege at all with the Trump-appointed special prosecutor. Think about whether President Trump would ever go down that path of not using executive privilege when he says he has full immunity on everything. So if you ask me, there's a quite difference here. But Katie Pavlich, that's kind of exactly the point that Jonathan Turley was trying to bring up, is that you have Joe Biden, as Robert was saying, no, he was sharp last night, he was right on top, it was all perfect, right? And then you have the special counsel saying he can't remember when he left the White House. He can't remember anything. A jury would never convict him because he's an old man with a bad memory. And now he's trying to pivot to saying, well, no charges there because I got a bad memory. But man, am I going to look a great president at the age of 82.
Well, first, I think a lot of people will be surprised to know that just having a bad memory gives you an excuse to willfully detain classified information when you are leaving the U.S. Senate or when you're leaving the vice presidency. In both positions, you did not have declassification authority, and yet here we are with this report. It's 388 pages long. There's a lot in here. There may not be charges for President Joe Biden, but this certainly is an indictment on his mental state, given what is in black and white in this report, and it comes at a horrible time for the White House when just today, Karine Jean-Pierre has gone from telling Peter Doocy she's not going to go down rabbit holes, talking about why President Biden was talking to dead people earlier in the week, and also last night at a fundraiser, to today, the special counsel who's been investigating this, who did interviews with the president behind closed doors, found the pressures of the cameras and people asking questions, and they're saying he's too old to answer basic questions about classified information, which brings up questions about how he will lead the country politically. And also there's, of course, the accusations the Biden campaign has launched against the Trump campaign and President Trump in his classified documents case, and the national security implications here when it comes to foreign policy and being a strategy.
Yeah, and Sean Duffy, to get even worse than that, because Katie mentioned that Karine Jean-Pierre was talking about, there was this and this, but she was asked specifically about, the president talking about someone who's been dead for the better part of 3 decades, and she spun, and it was all now about January 6th. This was about January 6th, she said. It has even where she wrote this, that had
Excellent spot.
at all to do with January 6th. So now you have the White House spokesperson saying, no, it was about January 6th, not really about his memory. He was trying to make this point. What?
Exactly. She should have been creative. She probably thought of herself that she was able to bring the question back to January 6th. But the American voter sees that and knows that Joe Biden is talking about world leaders that have been dead for some time. And they, again, agree with Robert Ford. He's a senile old man. But Robert Wolf, who what he saw last night is not what the American people see every day when they see Joe Biden on television. I also think it's interesting. Having these documents is kind of like running a red light. Either you did it or you didn't do it. There's not a whole lot of argument around it. And Joe Biden seemed to have get documents out of the skiff in Congress. But also when he left the vice presidency, he seemed to be fairly cognitively sharp. And at that time, he took the documents out. So yes, he might not be able to remember today, but remember, you have the documents. He took them when he was in office. So I don't care what Joe Biden says. I have a smoking gun in the picture you have up there on the screen right now that he took the documents. He should have been prosecuted just like Trump, or neither of them should have been prosecuted.
I just want to read a little bit, if I can, Robert, before I get to you on page 208. It says here, in his interview with our office, Mr. Biden's memory was worse. He did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended. If it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president? Was
Ooh, close one.
on the second day of the interview when his term began in 2009. Am I still vice president? He did not remember even within several years when his son Bo died, and his memory appeared hazy when describing the Afghanistan debate that was once so important to him. Other things he mistakenly said he had, quote, had a real difference of opinion with General Carl Eikenberry, when in fact Eikenberry was an ally.
Molly, you gonna die again?
In his Thanksgiving memo to President Obama. And so, Robert, you say he was sharp as a tack. This report brings up, I mean, there are just 6 or 7 different examples of him not remembering. And just to this week, as Sean's point was, you know, he's not doing a Super Bowl interview. He's not giving press conferences. The former president sat in front of the cameras today and gave an entire news conference on what he thinks the Supreme Court decision is going to mean for him. And we haven't heard from Joe Biden in quite some time. So it's hard to make for the country to believe the argument that he's sharp as a tack. And when we read this and you hear some of the current statements and the absolute fact that he's not going to go before the country and answer a few questions from CBS, which is not going to exactly throw
Excellent.
no iron curveballs.
Well, a lot to unpack there. I'm glad you're only referencing 6 or 7 paragraphs out of 300 plus pages, so I would give him a pretty good grade for that. So let me just be clear. I care about what he's done as president legislatively, and I care what he's done from a foreign policy perspective. I'm glad we passed the money for Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel today. I hope the House does their job. We passed infrastructure bill, bipartisan. President Trump was talking about infrastructure week for 4 straight years and never passed it. I think we should spend time on looking at our successes, okay, as opposed to when he, slipped on a bit of confusion on a 45-minute speech when everyone does that. I'm not going to get into what's aboutism, but we all know what I'm talking about.
Okay, Katie Patlich, to you, because it just seems to me like there is mounting evidence that maybe some people, when they have these polls that show, 23% of the voters think that he has the ability to become president or be president again because of his mental acuity.
Well, Trace, you mentioned the lack of access to the president. So on Tuesday, he said that he was going to talk to reporters today, Thursday afternoon, and would answer their questions. Pre-job here, the White House press secretary had to walk that back. Let's not forget the White House and members of the Judiciary Committee leadership on Capitol Hill have had this report for probably a couple of days now, at least 24 hours. So they probably knew this was coming. Now President Joe Biden will land back on the soft lawn and will be shouting questions from reporters instead of answering them from the podium and the briefing.
Kind of like,
So they're not allowing the American people to get answers on the issues that he supposedly wants to talk about outside of this report. And it also goes back to the issues that he's been facing over the past 3 years with the scandals that they're piling up, including his partnership and affiliation with Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden stayed in an Arlington, Delaware house during COVID. That's when he was in lockdown. He had access to that garage. There's photos of him driving the Corvette with the boxes in the background. With people
fucking Molly goes in to die every time. She's not even part of the Chiefs. I can't even upgrade her.
Another issue for the White House, and they tried to avoid talking about that. And there's big questions about why he wanted to keep the classified information. What was the purpose of that, especially given that Hunter Biden had so much access to it and he was working with people around the world who do not like the United States of America and do not have the best interests of this country in mind. It seems like he should be more responsible as president than that.
Katie makes a good point. I mean, his son had a substance abuse problem, had access to that house, had access to the garage. Sean Duffy's view, and we've got to go. But I want to get your final thoughts on this because, you know, it's not just the Francois Mitterrand thing. It goes deeper than that. We have this every single week. There are we have the videotape. We could play it for a long time on some of the president's gaffes and so forth. And I just want to be a representative.
Yeah, so Hunter Biden has passed the CCP. If you look at the first place, look at the box. You have it on your screen right now. And that's not this box that has been in the garage for 6 years, 8 years. It looks like someone's been rifling through it. Someone's been using that box, probably looking at files. Was it Hunter Biden? What information was in the box? And what information did Hunter have access to? Also, the Penn Biden Center where information was found also received donations from companies that are Chinese but also have ties to the CCP.
Excellent.
Reeks to high heaven, and I think we can judge her, and now we'll judge Joe Biden on the stage of the campaign, but this is no doubt being part of a system that the American people look at that appears to be two-tiered. Joe Biden with these boxes in his house, Donald Trump waited at 6 o'clock in the morning with black SUVs and charged a completely two-tier system.
Yeah, Sean Duffy, Robert Wolf, Katie Pavlich, thank you all. Well, this is from page 7 of the Special Counsel report. Some evidence also suggests Mr. Biden knew he could not keep classified handwritten notes at home after leaving office. Mr. Biden, who had decades of experience with classified information, was deeply familiar with the measures taken to safeguard classified information and the need for those measures to prevent harm to national security. Asked about reports that former President Trump had kept classified documents at his own home, Mr. Biden wondered how anyone could be that irresponsible and voiced concern about what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods. While Vice President, he kept his notebooks in a White House safe for a time, in contrast with his decision after leaving office in unlocked drawers. Texas Republican Congressman Alan joins me now. He serves on the Oversight and Armed Services Committee. I'm not sure if you've read through any of this report, Congressman, about the documents, the Biden documents, but I want your initial thoughts on what you've heard.
Yes, Trace, I've read through some. I haven't read through them all yet, just as you know, they just came out. But yeah, I'm appalled and I'm really alarmed because the fate of humanity rests upon the job that the person that holds this office does, and Joe Biden is clearly incapable of it. And he doesn't remember. I mean, certain memories are shoot into your mind if you're healthy, and that is like when, unfortunately, your son dies. You know when you served as Vice President of the United States. I can tell you when James Monroe served as President, and I don't know James Monroe. I never knew the guy. So, I mean, that's worrisome. It's very...
Yeah, it really is. And you kind of go back to what the panel was saying earlier there is it's not just the actual documents that the former president had, and the documents that the president had in his garage in Delaware. It's the approach of both the cases. You have the FBI going to Mar-a-Lago. You have a different approach. You have, permission being asked for the president to be able to go through and look for these things. It's just a different perception. And maybe it's right, maybe it's legally just the way these things were handled. But from the optics point of view, from the American point of view, it doesn't look like it's the same type of case.
The DOJ was calling one, and they had the other.
Nice.
Let's explain to your viewers, too, Trace. When we go into a skip and we're exposed to and handle classified information, we have to take our watches off. We can't use the AirPods. We don't have anything with us that's electronic. You go back to like 1970 as far as technology goes. And when you leave, you can't take notes. If you take notes, they have to stay in the skip. So how in the world did Joe Biden have boxes of classified information? And this excuse of, well, he's got a feeble mind and he didn't...
Ooh, you're lucky.
Well, you know what? If they go into your house and they find 2 kilos of heroin, and you say, I don't remember how it got here, that doesn't matter. They're coming after you anyway.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I also go back to some of the points that Professor Churchill made where, it's interesting that as a legal argument that they made this not to file charges and made the decision partially based on the fact that the president would not, any jury in their right mind, would not convict him because he doesn't have a great memory. And you think, okay, well, there's a legal basis for that. And maybe that's not for me to argue. But but it seems interesting at the very least that is part of this. And you think for on the other side, as someone said earlier, what a great day for the former president, because not only does it appear the Supreme Court is going to knock down the Colorado Supreme Court decision to keep him off the ballot, it also appears that now he's got all of this information and all of this material that he can use in campaigns about the current
I
president.
fucking love it. I made one of these guys. I like them.
On his game.
Well, let's just break it down very simply. If someday somebody's driving 115 miles an hour and they're pulled over by state trooper trace, and then he says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" Honestly, officer, I can't remember. Well, then get on your bike. That's essentially the precedent they're setting. And let me also tell you, Trace, I was having a private conversation with Chris Smith, who was a Republican member of Congress since 1981. He's from New Jersey. He's very good personal friends with Joe Biden, or at least they were. And he talked to him back in 2021, and I asked him, "Is it the same person?" And he said, "No, he's a shadow of who he was." So if he is not mentally competent, I can't believe he's lasted this long, and we sure as heck cannot reelect him in November this year.
I want to read page 208 of the special counsel's report here, 345 pages. 208 says, quoting here, "We also expect many jurors to be struck by the place where the Afghanistan documents were ultimately found in Mr. Biden's Delaware home, in a badly damaged box in the garage near a collapsed dog crate, a dog bed, a Zappos box, an empty bucket, a broken lamp wrapped with duct tape, potting soil, and synthetic firewood." It paints a pretty good picture of where these documents, how respected these documents were, where they were just kind of discarded in a garage where anybody could walk in and get some potting soil, and then look at what's in the box.
It reads like a bad, lazy novel. I mean, it really does. This is stranger than fiction stuff. How in the world does he have possession of these, and why? And then not even as if he had it in his home, it was in a gun safe or something. No, it was lying next to the wiffle ball that Hunter plays with? I mean, my goodness, the guy's 50 going on 10 as it is.
Yeah, Pat Fallon, Congressman, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Trace. God bless.
Well, in a news statement from President Biden, the special counsel released today its findings about its look into my handling of classified documents. I was pleased to see they reached the conclusion I believed all along they would reach, that there would be no charges brought in this case, and the matter is now closed. Okay, let's bring in our panel. Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor, Saul Weisenberg, former deputy independent counsel, and Mark Thiessen, Enterprise Institute senior, American Enterprise Institute senior fellow, all our Fox News contributors. Andy, I think we should start with you again, because we started with you the last time. You kind of heard this conversation going on now for the past 45, 50 minutes. What do you make? Have you changed your assessment of anything on these classified documents, charges not being
Ooh.
and the release of, frankly, a ton of embarrassing information?
Yeah, well, I guess my first impression was that, this is supposed to be about whether there's enough evidence to indict. And as you read the report, I can't help but say it sure looks like there's enough here to invoke the 25th Amendment. And I know that's not what looking at what the purpose is, but, his fitness for office is a major issue here. Second thing, we've mentioned this a number of times, Trace. One of the reasons, it seems like one of the core reasons that he didn't indict is because he decided, and he says this himself, a jury would find him to be a sympathetic defendant because of his, he's a gracious enough guy, but, he's forgetful, etc. If you're at the point of saying what a jury would assess, would that mean that you've drawn the conclusion that there is enough evidence to indict the person, and enough evidence perhaps to let the jury decide the case? And what you're now down to is, did he have the intent to break the law or not? And that brings me to the third point, which is President Trump is charged under the Espionage Act. That's Section 793 of the Criminal Code. Subsection F, the mental element that he, as a prosecutor, has to prove to make an offense under that statute is not willfulness. It's gross negligence. So I really don't understand how the bumbling aspect of all this helps him, because if the jury even merely believed that he was grossly negligent, he would not to convict. Yeah.
you know, Andy brings up a very good point. They're projecting, saying, listen, this is what a jury would do. It kind of reminds me of the James Comey speech when he came out for his document saying, no, it's a bad decision, but, you know, just projecting of what would happen in Comey trial. Nobody knows what's going to
Nice.
had this gone to trial, and if there's enough evidence for you to think this might go to trial, maybe there's a go to trial.
Well, first of all, there's absolutely no rumor that this report was ghost-written by Gavin Newsom and his future campaign. I just want to put that rumor to the That's number one. Number two, Andy keyed in on the real point here. Remember, from what you're reporting, the report says, her says, that he did willfully keep and retain these documents. That is a very high standard. I assume in this context it means that he knew he was doing it in violation of the law. At a minimum, it was deliberate. Andy can probably tell us that. And so, whatever his mental state is now, that's very serious. And I think, you know, Herr found himself, the special counsel, they're always in unenviable positions. Somebody's always going to be disappointed. So, in the one hand, he's saying we're not going to bring charges. He can't anyway because he's the acting. Biden is the president, so you can't charge the sitting president. And we're not going to charge him because he'd be a sympathetic old man. But man, it is really, really damaging to the president.
It's very politically damaging. Mark, I know you have something that you would like to read in this report, so please go ahead.
Yeah, no, so I mean, one of the most devastating thing is on page 248, where it says Mr. Biden's apparent lapses and failures in February and April 2017 likely appear consistent with the diminished faculties and faulty memory he shows in the Zalester interview and in our interview of him. Therefore, we conclude the evidence does not establish Biden willfully disclosed national defense information to Mr. Zalester. Diminished faculties. So why this is so devastating, and it's not necessarily devastating legally, I'll leave that to Andy and the rest of the panel to discuss. It's
Excellent
devastating
hit.
because what it has done is that it lifted the veil, showing the American people what Joe Biden is behind closed doors. What is his real about? He goes out and he stumbles in a press conference and they pull the robot and pull him back in. They can avoid a Super Bowl interview. You can't avoid an interview with a special counsel. If you sit down with a world leader and you deliver a word salad out of diplomatic concern for the relations of the United States, they're never going to expose that to the world. But the special counsel has now shown us what he is like trying to conduct a meeting about substantive issues, and he can't do it. He can't remember what the arguments were. He can't remember who the players were. He can't remember who was arguing for, who was arguing against, and they conclude that he has diminished faculties. That is going to be the closing act of any presidential campaign going into the fall. We can't have a president with diminished faculties who cannot remember basic facts and basic names. This is absolutely devastating to his re-election campaign. In fact, Democrats ought to look at this and start thinking maybe we need another candidate.
Yeah, well, it brings it back to Andy's 25th argument right there. You know, it's one of those things where we heard a lot about that during former President Trump's tenure in office, and it seems to me, and we have none of that now, and who knows if that becomes part of the conversation. Yeah, well, there's objectively a lot more reason to worry about it, and I don't mean to say that in a democratic way. We see this president, you know, when we get to see him, and it's always difficult. The other point I want to make, Trace, is I'm struck with the little I've been able to read through this so far about how concerned they are about exactly what they ought to be concerned about, which is the two tiers of justice and that whole allegation. There's a lot in here that seems to rationalize why we're not charging when President Trump has been charged. And the argument comes down to Biden was cooperative with the investigators, but Trump wasn't. That is not a justification for handling the classified documents and national defense information charges differently. What that would be a justification for is, okay, charge Trump with obstructing the grand jury. If that's what bothers you about what his behavior was, then fine. Get rid of all the classified document stuff and deal with the grand jury obstruction. But what they're saying here is because they say that one guy was cooperative and one guy wasn't, we're going to completely throw the book, including all of the classified documents counts, at Trump, and we're going to look to wave at Biden because he's a little bit forgetful and old. Yeah, and I think it really does. I mean, I've got about 2 minutes left. I want to get you both in, Saul and Mark, but it's the down, don't protest too much argument, Saul, here, which brings up a very valid point.
You know, all I can say is
Dodge.
this is again, I also have
Flash traps, boss units, 2 bosses.
This is really astonishing.
2 bosses, eh?
Extrajudicial or extra prosecutorial statements in the report. Now I know they're in there to show allegedly why they had trouble prosecuting President Biden, but it's really striking, and it's going to make it much easier for somebody to mount a challenge to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of twofold here, Mark Jason, because what's happening is you have this 325-page report which goes to great lengths to show why President Biden does not belong in the courtroom, but it also goes to great lengths to kind of illustrate why maybe President Biden shouldn't belong in the Oval Office.
No, 100%. Just another quote from the report, page 207. Biden's memory also appeared to have significant limitations, both the time he spoke to Zelensky in 2017 and our recorded conversation. He was often painfully slow, with Mr. Biden struggling to remember events and straining at times to read and relay his own notebook entries. This is the commander-in-chief. There's a war going on in Europe. There's a war going on in the Middle East. There's a possibility of a war in Asia over Taiwan. And the president, the commander-in-chief, struggled to read his own notebook entries in a meeting with the special counsel. What is? I mean, truly, Andy's right. This is 25th Amendment evidence. I mean, this man should not be president of the United States.
Yeah, well, you can bet that the Trump campaign will certainly have that argument again and again. Andy McCarthy, Saul Weisenberg, Mark Thiessen, thank you all for your time. We should know. You can see the boxes there on the right-hand side of the screen. We've been talking about the special counsel deciding there would be no charges against the president for holding classified documents in his Delaware home, but the report is damning otherwise, and that is the story. February 5th, 2024. There's always a story goes on. I'll see you back here for Fox News at night. Here's
all right, now hurry up and wait, although we might not be waiting too long for a decision from the Supreme Court on whether a state can kick Donald Trump off its ballot. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ian Quinn. Let's get right to it with Shannon Green.
Okay.
Shannon, this was fascinating. We saw the court in almost total unison on wondering exactly how far Colorado is going and why. But spell it out.
Yeah, well, normally, Neil, it takes years to get through, maybe months if you're fast tracking, but this made it in weeks, showing the urgency the court gets about this happening in an election year. And so we had the arguments, they were wide-ranging, there were tough questions from both sides of these arguments, both sets of orders, but at the end of the day, it really came down to whether or not this 14th Amendment provision applies to President Trump. Justice Thomas had questions about that and said, listen, this was passed back in the late 1860s, 1870, the 14th Amendment. Why don't you have examples from that time period showing this was meant for states to be allowed to kick people off federal ballots? Here's part of that exchange.
The concern was that the former Confederate states would continue being bad actors. And the effort was to prevent them from doing this. And you're saying that, well, this also authorized states to disqualify candidates. So what I'm asking you for, if you are right, what are the examples?
So that attorney couldn't come up with examples that showed states were allowed to kick federal candidates off of federal ballots. So there was concern across the spectrum, a number of tough questions coming in, also from Justice Kagan and Justice Jackson saying, listen, we have real concerns about what Colorado has done here. Here's a little bit of Justice Kagan saying, this is the reality. If we decide on Colorado, what happens?
But maybe most boldly, I think that the question that you have to confront is why a single state should decide who gets to be president of the United States.
And Justice Barrett followed up with her on that, essentially saying, yeah, look, this will amount to, yes, states are free to do what they want, but you've got to imagine that if a lot of states see that Colorado has done this, that this court, the high court, approves it, they're going to take similar steps. So how many people get disenfranchised in that, possibly in that scenario? So, they'll probably have a vote behind closed doors in the next day or two, and then we'll wait. I don't think this is going to be one of those things where
seeking criminal charges against President Biden for keeping classified material as he left the vice presidency. Let's get the latest on that from David Spun at the Justice Department. Hey, David.
Hey, Neil, 345 pages, a scathing report calling into question the president's mental faculties in many ways. And while the president is not charged, Robert Hur, the special counsel, makes some serious allegations and takes some serious swipes at the president. I want to read part of it where it mentions no criminal charges. And Robert Hur says this right out of the gate. We conclude that no criminal charges are warranted in this matter. We would reach the same conclusion even if Department of Justice policy did not foreclose criminal charges against the sitting president. However, we have some photographs in the report of President Biden's garage in Wilmington, Delaware, at his home, where he stored documents from Afghanistan in a box, in a tattered box, tattered and torn, open in his garage with classified information. Special counsel Hur said that was not an appropriate place to hold this classified information. You see it right there, out in the open for people to get a hold of that. The Biden White House, the White House counsel, which is the attorney for the president of the White House, says we disagree with a number of inaccurate and inappropriate comments in the special counsel's report. Nonetheless, the most important decision, the special counsel made no charges or warrants. It's firmly based on the facts and evidence. You know, he used the word inappropriate comments. Perhaps this is one of them. Special counsel Hur writes, we've also considered that at trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury as he did during our interview of him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Based on our direct interactions with and observations of him, he is someone from whom many jurors will want to identify reasonable doubt. It'd be difficult to convince a jury that they should convict him, by then a former president well into his 80s, of a serious felony that requires a mental state of willfulness. Robert Hur taking a swipe, thinking that President Biden may not even run or win in November, saying by the time he goes to trial, he would be a former president. Joe Biden, the president, putting out a statement a short time ago, quote, the special counsel released today its findings about its look into my handling of classified documents. I was pleased to see they reached a conclusion. I believed all along they would reach that there would be no charges brought in this case, and the matter is now closed. But Neil, also at one point, Special Counsel Hur says that President Biden was not aware of the times that he left the vice presidency when he served in the Senate. Also, I'm just reading right here, within a couple years of when his son, Bo, tragically died, the Attorney General of Delaware. So, while no charges, a very, very critical report that goes to the heart of President Biden. Neil.
David, when was this interview going on of the president about these documents?
Exactly. It happened in October. We found out, I believe it was a 2-day period. We found out it started on a Sunday. I believe it wrapped up on a Monday, and that was just October of 2022, or 2023, excuse me. So, 4 months ago, 3-4 months ago is when this interview took place.
When he was 80 years old.
Correct.
Got it. All right, thank you very much. John, you with us right now, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, to comment on both of these cases, as is Tom Dupree, the former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, as well. These guys most likely to speak. Tom, first off, on the Trump situation, and these justices seemingly almost in lockstep, questioning Colorado and the legitimacy of a single state, pulling a name from its presidential ballot. But that had some thinking that this could be a fairly lopsided decision against Colorado doing so, but what do you think?
I agree with that assessment. Look, I always thought that this was an exceedingly difficult decision for the people trying to disqualify former President Trump, a very, very uphill battle for them. And the way today's argument played out doesn't change my view one iota. I thought it was notable that both Justices Kagan and Jackson expressed deep concern about accepting Colorado's argument. They were rightly worried both about the practical consequences of their decision, and in Justice Jackson's case, she said to Colorado's lawyer that, well, maybe this constitutional provision you all are focusing on doesn't actually say what you think it says. So the fact that 2 out of the 3 liberal justices openly expressed skepticism about this proceeding, about this whole effort to disqualify former President Trump, I don't see how you possibly could get 5 votes on the Supreme Court to not come off ballot.
How do you think it goes yourself, John? Unless my Supreme Court radar is way off,
The only question now is whether this will be a unanimous reversal of the Colorado Supreme Court that will allow Trump to stay on the ballot, or whether it's 8-1 or 7-2. In fact, what struck me from the whole argument is that the court really seems to have already decided that Colorado is going to lose. I think there are good arguments on both sides, but I found Colorado's lawyer really did not have an answer to this fundamental question, Tom, you just mentioned. How can a single state decide for the whole country who's going to be on the ballot, whether President Trump committed insurrection, what even an insurrection is? I found that question, unfortunately, was unanswerable for Colorado, so I expect the Supreme Court, not only will they decide with a high level of consensus, but they will get it out fast. I even predict Chief Justice Roberts will end up writing the opinion to give it more institutional force and validity.
You know, gentlemen, as you know far better than I, and you've elaborated on this, this is a Supreme Court that finds itself in the uncomfortable position of being in the same position as the Supreme Court back in 2000 with Bush Gore. It doesn't like being there, but it now has to be there. And this is just one case. There could be another case on exactly how far a president or a former president can go and what's forgivable. That issue might come up. So this could just be the kickoff point, Tom. What do you think?
I think this is going to be the kickoff point, in that this is not the last Trump-related case the Supreme Court is going to wrestle with. But look, I agree that I think anytime the Supreme Court dips its toes into the political waters, there are concerns from the institutional perspective. I know Chief Justice Roberts is very concerned about that because inevitably, whichever way the court decides these cases, there's going to be some segment of the American public that views it as a politically charged, inappropriate, politically tainted decision. So they're very cautious about that. For that reason, I do think the chief, and I agree with John, I could easily see the chief assigning this opinion to himself to write, because he's going to want to do whatever he can to muster as much unanimity on that bench as he possibly can. Because in a case like this, just as in other historically significant cases going back around versus Board of Education, the Supreme Court always strives to speak with a single voice when possible to show that there are no political divisions on the bench.
If I can come down to the President Biden case, John, and one of the things that is fascinating, I was trying to read something that I didn't know half of what I was reading, John, but I found it interesting you have a prosecutor, a special counsel, essentially painting Joe Biden as a sympathetic figure before a jury. Why should that matter? Why even bring that up?
That's a great question, Neil, and thanks for the extra homework, by the way, having to read this 300-page report about how...
No, I'm reading the report, John, and please don't get the wrong idea.
Oh, you're missing all the good photos. I recommend you look at the report. There are unbelievable photos of how these documents were stored. Of the kind, the kind like the ones we saw about President Trump and Mar-a-Lago. I mean, they're both terrible photos for these presidents. The reason why, and I after reading this, I almost think President Biden might say, gosh, maybe it'd be better if you tried me rather than say all these things about my mental confidence. Because the report basically says, we would normally bring a trial like this. The special counsel does say, we think he did take these classified documents, that he did not store them properly. It appears to be willful. The reason we're not charging is because we don't think a jury, not us, we don't think a jury would convict someone like this. And what's that like this mean? Elderly, can't remember things. He couldn't remember the years he was vice president, for example. This is terrible. I mean, this is really an indictment, not of Biden for classified documents. It's almost an indictment, not charged, but an indictment of President Biden's mental fitness to be in office.
So, Tom, that raises a question I had about the fairness of this process and the documents held or withheld, whatever reason, and whether Donald Trump, if he was deemed to be a doddering or forgetful public official, would get the same treatment, would have the same sympathetic approach. You know, we can't put this to a court or a jury that would be witnessing something like this. I find.
Yeah, and look, it's hard to envision former President Trump getting a sympathetic approach. I think from Robert Hur, the special counsel of Biden's case,
If he were exactly the same person, that's what I'm saying. If he were exactly the same person, we're getting just as much. We're getting a lot of. By the way, who am I to judge? I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. But my point is, would Donald Trump garner the same sympathy and the same musing about whether it's worth pursuing this the way that Joe Biden is.
I'm very doubtful of that. Extremely doubtful. And what Robert Hur said was driving his decision were two things. Thing number one was he pointed out the differences between the Trump case and the Biden case, and he said that, well, Biden cooperated and Trump didn't. The second thing he said was the point we and John were discussing, which is he said, look, even if we were to bring a prosecution, we probably would lose because the jury would see President Biden or then former President Biden as a sympathetic old man with limited mental faculties. And from that perspective, today's report deal is absolutely devastating for Biden. I think he would have been better off, frankly, if the special counsel had said, this is kind of a devious, savvy guy who spits the edge of the law. At least there, Biden would have seemed to be in control and decisive, rather than basically saying, yeah, we're going to let you walk because you're a sympathetic old man with a bad memory.
Could that be deliberate, John? Could that be a way to fool him and get them off his back? And by saying, look, well, I don't remember this, I don't remember that. Then the whole case goes away.
To be frank, there are defendants who have pulled acts like that and pretended to be even insane, not just out of it or not knowing what their subordinates are going on. We talked about this in your program before about how both Trump and Biden, they have to make these statements in court and also in politics. And sometimes something that works in court is not going to work in politics. And Trump, I think, jujitsu here was that he is losing terribly in court. Somehow he used that to win the primaries. It's the reverse here. Biden is taking a position to defend himself from the prosecution by essentially saying, I can't remember anything. I didn't really do anything because I can't remember dates and places. I don't know whether, he says it doesn't even know what the documents were about. He can't remember it all. That's going to maybe get him out his charges, but that's going to kill him politically. It's the reverse of what Trump's up to.
That's a fascinating juxtaposition. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both very much. Speaking of President Biden, speaking right now, set up a fundraiser, I believe, guys. Let's listen in.
Jim is here. He's one of the reasons why I'm standing here. I want to thank him. Akeem and Catherine and Pete, thank you to all of you. All of you. Let me say a few things before we get started with our discussion. First, I'm not going to be very long, I promise. First, the special counsel released their findings today about their look into my handling of classified documents. I was pleased to see the conclusion.
Excellent.
I believe the new
We'll save it here.
and there are no charges should be brought in this case.
We'll catch you guys next time. All right, peace.
This was an exhaustive investigation going back literally more than 40 years. 40 years when I became a United States Senator as a kid. I was a kid, 29 years old. Special counsel acknowledged